Let's talk about it. You're listening to Let's Talk About It, a digital forum that holistically addresses the issues that arise in everyday life and the current affairs that are prevalent throughout our nation and that affect our culture. Let's join host Ty Priest Hannah now for today's discussion. Let's talk about it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I am your host, Ty Priest Hannah, but everybody calls me Ty. Thank you for allowing me your listening ears. Joining me again on Let's Talk About It are my two good best friends I have with me today. Joining me, the Holy Mother herself, Sister Tempestt Hough, and my guy who is like a brother to me, TJ Tremaine Chandler. Hey guys, how's it going?
Pretty good. Good.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Did you guys have a great weekend?
Yes. Not long enough.
I can agree with you on that. Yeah, me too. Me too. Tempestt, what did your dad preach about?
Did you really just put me on the spot? Like, I really got to sit here and think. Like,
oh God.
Look at my phone real quick and see where he came from. Give me 1 second, brother pastor.
Oh my God. Well, Chandler.
John 13 verses 36 through 38, and he said, "Don't move too fast."
Oh my God. My God, that's powerful. That's powerful. That's powerful. Chandler, what did Daddy Chandler preach about today?
Unfortunately, I did not attend services. I had to work today. So that was the only reason why I ultimately missed service. But I knew it was a powerhouse shutdown one.
Wow. You don't have Facebook or anything?
Well, actually, I don't. I do not have Facebook.
Why?
I do not participate in social media. Well, ultimately, my thing is that I'm a private person, not to hide things. I just feel that relationships and certain things need to be private. I believe that too many people are too exposed to too many other individuals' lives, which has seemingly become a very problematic issue even in our culture. But only if that's mishandled or mismanaged. So I prefer this to be private.
Oh, okay. That's very very interesting.
Yeah, you want to put people on spots today, huh?
Dude, I'm not saying anything. I'm just simply asking questions. That's all.
Pastor, what did you preach about today?
Well, today, that's a very interesting question, Tempestt, Sister Hough, because I came from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 5, and I talked about when Jesus was seen by the Pharisees and John's disciples. He was seen at the house of Levi, Matthew, and he was seen sitting down eating with publicans and tax collectors. And of course, you know the story. They were the Pharisees, being self-righteous. They were saying, how can you, sit with these, sinners, these unrighteous individuals? And Jesus gave them a parable concerning not putting new wine in old bottles. And so essentially the title of my lesson this week or today was learning to live in a new normal. I almost forgot it. I ain't gonna even lie to you. Almost forgot my own message. But learning to live in a new normal. And the whole gist of the message was being able to adjust to change.
Okay.
Yeah. Go back and look at the Facebook Live. I promise you it will bless you. And once the message bless you, I would certainly encourage that you would, send an offering.
No, sir. I already knew where you was going.
Well, I mean, it's only right. The Apostle Paul said, it is only right that I reap of you the natural things if I have blessed you spiritually.
You know what? My father blessed me this morning and I gave him that offering.
But the Lord wants to do double. Oh my God. Jump up and tell God, thank you.
You know what? We're not doing this.
Well, listen, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our conversation here. Of course, you all know that we've been discussing relationships lately, and I want to deal with a topic that affects every relationship and every aspect of relationship, and that topic is trust. We all can agree that trust is very important when it comes to relationships. It is perhaps one of the primary building blocks of a relationship. And I believe you all will agree with me when I say that a relationship that does not have trust isn't really a relationship at all. And it is perhaps one of the most sensitive, essential elements of a relationship. And because it is sensitive, because of the sensitivity of trust, when trust is broken, it almost becomes impossible to repair the relationship. And not only that, you will probably agree with me that it also damages the person who is trusting you. But just because the trust has been broken, does it really mean that the relationship can't be repaired? So we're going to talk about, can I trust you again? So, of course, I want to get the opinions of the both of you. And I really wish we had another female on with us to kind of balance out the conversation and the presence. But nevertheless, when trust is broken in a relationship, is it possible? Is it possible for the relationship to be repaired? Lord, y'all are quiet on the other end of this.
So your question again is that when trust is broken, is it possible for it to be necessarily re-resurrected? Yeah, I do. I believe that when trust is broken, that a relationship can survive it, but I think it ultimately starts off with a choice. Oftentimes when trust has been broken, it puts both individuals in a state of turmoil. And ultimately it will produce truth that was going on in the relationship anyhow. And what I mean by that, on one perspective, you have the individual who was broken.
Right.
So their question is now, can I come back to this? They're fighting with the dilemma of, I love him or I love her, but is it really worth it? Is it valuable enough for me to go through this new uncharted area of our relationship? And is it worth it? But on the other hand, the person who ultimately offended the individual has to now ask themselves the question of, can I forgive myself? I let myself down and I'm ashamed. So I think in any instance, if you are going to try to rebuild, the real question is, can I truly forgive?
Now that's interesting. I
think you have to be able to understand forgiveness. And also, what does that forgiveness look like? Is it a refusal forgiveness, which means that I'm going to forgive you, but I'm not really going to forget it. And in time, ultimately, that individual who refuses to forgive ultimately becomes very vindictive. Because everything that occurs, every opportunity, every moment, they see that unforgiving person, because ultimately they truly haven't forgiven. And then I think the other forgiveness is cheap forgiveness. Let's add God into this. Most times, some people say, well, I forgive because the Bible says I'm supposed to forgive. And even though that is very true, forgiveness is a process. And cheaply forgiving people mean that you never really went through the process. You just forgave because the Bible says it, but then you ultimately have resentments because you never really released that thing. You just held on to it to the face, but ultimately you're still lying to yourself.
Right. I can tell that there's more that you want to say, but we've received an answer from a male perspective, but Tempest, from a female perspective, once trust has been broken in a relationship, can the relationship be repaired? Oh gosh, she's quiet.
One part of I will say I will agree with TJ.
Mm-hmm.
It is a choice
Mm-hmm.
to want that retrust to be rebuilt. Now, it goes deeper than just saying, yes, we're going to make this choice to continue to move on and to continue to grow and build together. And it goes back again to what TJ says, forgiveness. We oftentimes can say, yes, we're going to continue, we're going to try to move on from this incident, whatever it may have you. If you've cheated on that person, okay, yes, I forgive you, we're going to move on. But then again, things will come up, and it doesn't have to be anything but as simple as going to the store, or you can be with a significant other and I see him looking at somebody else. Because I know you've already cheated on me, it makes me begin to wonder. And even though I say I've forgiven you and I want to work on the trust, any little thing that triggers it, I now bring back up the initial mistake that you've made. So with me being vindictive, every time you do something, I'm going to bring that up. So obviously I haven't truly forgiven you. But I think it is possible to rebuild that trust, but it has to be, like TJ said, it has to be a choice. And for women, it does get a bit complicated. And I will say that for myself. I think it would be hard to trust a person that has lost trust, but I do believe that in some way, shape, and form that it is possible, but it's going to take a lot of work, in my opinion. It's going to take a lot in order to rebuild that trust, and you have to be willing to put forth. And it only makes me think of, and I don't know if you've seen it recently, but with the guy Derek Jackson on Facebook that does relationship advice. And I will be honest with you, I'm one of the ones that have said his wife is crazy, but he's by that man.
Don't you talk about her? Don't you? Because she has on the helmet of salvation and she has on the breastplate of righteousness. You will not sit up there and talk about her. You will not do that.
But I'm being serious. Like I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, if the trust was broken and he's comforted and said that, would I really be able to trust him again and continue on like she is? Or would I leave? And it goes back to, is this even worth it? Because the easy way out is to leave you, because in all honesty, I don't have to deal with this.
Right. So we're going to dig a little deeper into that question. But I want to back up just for a moment and let's actually examine what actually happens when trust is broken in a relationship. Because oftentimes I'm the type of person that in order for something to be fixed, in order for something to be repaired, I am the type of person that have to go back and examine or observe what happened when the thing was broken, or, you know, what actually took place when it was broken. So me personally, I believe that when trust has been broken in a relationship, it really does make you question the relationship. I mean, there's so many things, there's a myriad of things that really take place when trust has been broken in a relationship. But number one, I believe that that when trust has been broken, it really does make you question the relationship. You begin to really wonder who the person is with whom you are involved. You begin to question their credibility. You begin to question their motives. You begin to question their actions. It's just so much. And then not only that, even sometimes even after you have forgiven the person, as Tempestt, as you said, when you're trying to rebuild that trust, sometimes there's so much credibility that has been lost between you or with that person, that really sometimes it really does make you wonder, is this all worth it? Because you, in the back of your mind, there are a lot of questions, but one of the questions that may linger in the back of your mind is, what if he does this again? Or what if she says this again? Or what if she does this again? And that's the thing. And even beyond that, if you have made the decision to forgive him or her, if you've made a decision to forgive him or her, even after credibility has been lost, sometimes I really have to wonder if that person is still going to be honored and respected as your wife or husband or significant other if you're not married or what have you. Because once credibility has been lost, once you lose credibility with a person, the next thing that is definitely going to leave is that person's respect and honor for you. Like, they're really not going to take you seriously. They're not going to take anything that you say or do seriously. It's just really going to be very trivial, or what have you. And so my thing is, in your opinion, what really happens? And I hope, and I probably should have said this at the beginning of the conversation. I hope, you guys don't mind being personal tonight. Because we're going to really dig into this, because I believe that we all have experienced trust being broken on both sides of the spectrum. We were the ones who broke trust. And I'm not talking about just cheating, because there's more than one way to break trust than just cheating. I know when people think about trust being broken in a relationship, they oftentimes think that the person cheated, but there's more than one way to break trust in a relationship. And so I know we have been on both sides of the spectrum. We've been the one to actually break trust, and trust has been broken with us. So I hope you all are not afraid to be a little personal tonight. And even if, there are some emotions that may become stimulated, reverting back to that time, it's good, because I think people need to experience the whole gamut of the conversation that we're having, because this is not something that nobody in the world hasn't experienced. Everybody has been in a relationship where trust has been broken. So, but in your opinion, what when trust is broken in a relationship, what happens? What happens besides credibility being lost and all of that? Besides you questioning the relationship, questioning the person, what else takes place when trust has been broken?
You also question yourself, and I've dealt with that in past relationships. You begin, and this is specifically regarding, cheating, because that's what I've had an issue with, the cheating aspect.
Gotcha.
So it made me question if I was good enough. What am I not doing? Or I began to compare myself to other females and try to figure out, why wasn't I good enough? Or what was it that this person has done that I'm not doing? Or what is it that this person has said that I haven't said? Why is it that they were good enough for you to go to for whatever reason? What am I lacking as a woman? What it makes me look like, what is wrong with me that you had to cheat on me and go elsewhere to get whatever you're getting, whether it's affection or a listening ear, whatever it is, on the sexual level, whatever it is. Why is it that, number one, this has continued to happen in my life? What am I lacking as a woman? And it oftentimes, if this is something that you've gone through multiple times, it really makes you think, am I the problem? Am I really the problem?
Wow.
So
Wow.
That's one thing. So you deal with questioning yourself. You deal with questioning the person, why they did it. You go through anger, you go through hurt, you go through, you want to be vindictive, you know. I've had those same feelings, you know. Well, what if I just go ahead and cheat back on her? And it's like, well, no, it's not even worth it. You know, you go through the feeling of, I want this person to hurt just as much as I've hurt. They need to I've felt, you know, they need to see and feel my pain. So those are things specifically that I've dealt with.
Wow. Chandler?
Tempest dug pretty deep.
Yeah.
Tempest went in pretty hard. So with that, I'm going to come from the other angle, because in being honest and being truthful, I think that also comes with a freedom. And if you're able to be free to speak on what you have done or what you've dealt with, then ultimately you can help others, but you have truly accepted what you've done. So it's accountability. So yes, I have also been on the spectrum of being cheated on, but I've also been on the spectrum where I did the cheating.
Wow.
And after performing the act, I will be very honest with you, and I think most men do this, is that we try to find a way out. We try to justify the cheating or the infidelity or the lie. And I believe if you're going to cheat, then you have already committed the lie, because it comes with it.
Right.
And so my first thing was, let me justify, let me let her know that, you know, I did it because of I, and this is not my particular situation, but I did it because you weren't doing what I wanted you to do. Or I did it because the lack of in the relationship, or I wasn't happy anymore. And I think that any man who approaches it from that standpoint is one that who truly has not accepted that he truly is the problem. Oftentimes we're pointing our fingers at everybody else and everything around us when we should actually just be pointed at us. So I did that. I mean, I blamed it on her. I blamed it on this and that. And I only manipulated the situation to make her feel even worse than what she really was. Now, again, progressively, you know, growing from that, what it does to you when you are a person who truly does have a heart and you made a bad decision, man, I'm gonna tell you, it made me feel that I deserve to get everything that she was handing at me. I'm the one who broke it, so I should fix it.
Wow.
So at one point in time, I literally stayed in a relationship for over a year, and man, she gave it to me every day, every argument. It was reminded. Matter of fact, it was something that was so repetitious that I started believing that, you know what, I believe in the statement that once a cheater, always a cheater. Like I know I'm gonna cheat again, because it just became the culture. And that's what it was. And I had to honestly, I was in jail without the bars because she just kept bringing it back. It was no forgiveness. It didn't matter what I did, whether it was materialistic, whether it was just trying to have a intimate conversation. I was apologizing I was apologizing so much, I actually forgot what I was apologizing for. It was just, you know, instead of good morning, I'm sorry. Because of the torment and there at I learned this. There is a penalty for breaking trust, okay? There is a penalty
I'm a witness.
Breaking trust. Okay.
I'm a witness.
Man or woman, lie, cheat, whatever it may be, there is a penalty and you will pay for it.
Yes.
And the other thing is that there's no time frame necessarily for it. Because as men, I think that you should be able to overcome this in a week or two. But to her, I'm still trying to gather all my thoughts on this. And this may take me 6 months just to even say that I forgive you. So I think once you break it, you got to understand that you're responsible for the process. And then from there, from my perspective, though, after you have done all that you can, I've actually forgiven me. I do not acting those ways anymore. I am doing everything I can to build trust. I have sacrificed, and I'm there and I'm available. And if you continue to jail me, then I don't think any man or any woman should stay in there. After a year and you still ain't over, we got to go.
Now, Doc, you said so much, and I did not want to interrupt you, but you made mention of the fact that when you cheated, and unfortunately, when I look back over my life and I begin to think things over, I can see some areas where I've broken trust. I know. I say that jokingly, but there have been times in my life where I was the one who broke the trust. But you made mention about the fact that you cheated, and oftentimes when men cheat, it often means that it doesn't always mean that person has an uncontrollable desire. Okay, it doesn't always mean that. Oftentimes when a man cheats, it means that there is something in the current relationship of which he is deficient or he is voided, and he is able to be satisfied or fulfilled from in that area from another person. So the question that I really want to ask is, just because there is a void or deficiency in the relationship, is that really a reason to break trust?
No, it is not. This is the first thing here.
My God. Oh God. Oh my God. Jesus. Go ahead, mother. Go ahead.
No, that's not, I'm sorry, but that's not a good reason to go and break the trust. That's not justification because you feel as though something is lacking in your current. That's why we have communication. If there is a problem, or if you feel as though something is lacking, then you need to open your mouth as a man and tell me. Let's discuss whatever the issue may be. Tell me what it is. Give me the opportunity to fix it, and let's work together. But don't just feel like, okay, there's an issue, so let me just go to somebody else and get what I need because my significant other isn't providing it. How can you expect it to get any better if you're not going to acknowledge that there is a problem and let that person know? Because if you don't tell me, I'm not going to know. So we on years and years, and there's a problem between us. You're lacking something from me, and I may never know. But you went to somebody else outside of here, and now you're getting that from them, and now I'm sitting around here looking crazy.
Doc, I want to jump on this one real quickly.
Go ahead, Reverend.
Yeah, because Tempestt hit something, and you are very valid in your statement that if there is something wrong, then talk about it. But in the art of communication, there is something that we oftentimes don't really talk about. We dial on it, but we don't really get into it. And that is the art of listening. Now, I'm not talking about externally. I'm talking about internally, because there are a lot of times in relationships that I or a man or a female can come to their other partner and state that, hey, this is the problem that I am having. This is the issue that we are at this point in. And instead of there being a constructive change or a constructive, let's say, decision or business deal, so to speak, one may go about it as in, you're okay, you ain't got to worry about it, or you feel that it's enough, or you feel like the answer that you provided was satisfactory when it really wasn't. And when I think an individual has came several times and have stated the problem in different ways and have became creative, have left post-it notes and has Instagram and Facebook it and iMessage it and FaceTime it, like we can go on, and you still don't get it, then I think the question got to be is, if I've told you all of this, is it now your fault that the problem occurred?
I won't say that it's now that person's fault that the problem has occurred, because at the end of the day, you're accountable for your own actions. You still chose to step out or to do whatever. Now, do I agree with the fact of you said it multiple times and there's a problem, because I'm a strong believer. Okay, if I made this action or this problem, if I've made you aware of this more than one time and you don't change it, then in my mind, you don't want to change it. You don't care enough about me to change it. So if that's going to be the case, then that's where the question comes in: is this even worth it? Because if I made a point to let you know, and I've communicated that with you, and we've sat down and I've told you what needs to happen, and you tell me, okay, I got you, I'm going to change, and then it doesn't change, and then I come back to you again, and I'm not going to come back to you too many more times. I'll work with you, but if it eventually does not change, then okay, I just need to remove myself. But I don't think that because that person is not necessarily receptive or making that change, that still does not justify you going out and doing whatever it is that you want to do. In my opinion, it still doesn't say, well, because they're not listening and they're not satisfying me, or they're not doing this here, then I'm gonna just go to somebody else and get it. No. That still doesn't make it right.
And
I mean, at the end, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Finish your statement.
I'm gonna say, at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong, and two wrongs don't make a right.
Amen.
That's all I have to say.
One of the things that I will say, I do agree. In times when I have been the one to have broken trust in the relationship, regardless whether it was something that I've lied about, or I don't ever recall cheating, or what have you. There have been times that I will admit that I lied about some things. Don't look at me like that. Some of y'all lying right now. I'm just joking. but there have been times that I have lied. And, when the person discovered that I lied, of course, that ruined my credibility with that individual. And the reason why I lied was because I was afraid that if I told the person the truth, what their perspective would have been. And even when they addressed me about it, I was honest with them. I told them, I thought that if I told you this, then, you would be upset. And so I had to, I felt like the only way to, get around this was to lie. And come to find out, just as you said, Tempestt, come to find out that if I had communicated with that individual and told them, what was really going on, then, it would not have gone the way I thought it would have gone. The result, the outcome would have been far, far greater than I could have imagined it to be. And sometimes I think that the reason why trust is broken a lot of times in the relationship is because, number one, as TJ said, it is because the lack of communication. It's the lack of communication there. Something hasn't been if it has been communicated, that person is really not listening. Okay. That person is really not listening. But then also too, not only is the communication piece there, I think there's also a level of insecurity or fear of what might happen if the truth is exposed. For instance, I'll give an example. It's a very small example, but it's an example nonetheless. If you're dating someone or, involved with anyone and that person can't cook, but that person thinks, that they can cook, for me personally, I would probably not tell the person that they can't cook. What I would do is just probably say something like, I'm not hungry, or, I already ate, I got something on the way here. Or what have you. I really wouldn't tell the person that they can't cook, all because I would be fearful that I'm hurting the person's feelings. You see what I'm saying? So in many instances, I think the reason why sometimes trust is broken is because that there is a potential fear of, if I expose the truth to you, something could go wrong.
But essentially, we would still just be still lying.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Very much.
Right.
One thing, I can respect the person more if they're honest with me. Be honest with me, regardless of how you may think I'm going to take it, regardless of how it may make me feel. I can respect you more as a person if you be honest with me, because you don't know what the outcome may be. You don't know how I may react. I may be a little hurt. I may be angry, but I would respect you more because you've been upfront with me, versus you lying or trying to spare my feelings. Because then that's going to make me, I'm sorry, it's probably just going to piss me off, to be honest, because you could have just been honest with me. And if we're talking about having a good relationship and a good foundation, then it goes back to communication, trust, and being honest. If you can't be honest with me about the small things up front, what's going to happen down the road when we hit bigger bumps in the road?
Wow. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I agree.
But so to maybe challenge it a little bit, oftentimes in relationships, as you stated, Tempestt, is that I'd rather a honest man. I'd rather for him to be truthful.
Right.
And then you have the brother that who now has to make this decision to say, you know what? I've already probably lied before, so let me do this thing the truthful way. And when he tells the truth, no matter what the truth is, it's still the truth. Most of the time, it seems as if that truth cannot be handled. Now, I'm giving you what you asked.
Right.
Truth. And then when I tell you the truth, you give me the do sign, or I'm nothing but another man, or I'm another heathen, or what maybe that I might be called. So how can a brother sit here and say, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to be truthful with you, but you got to be strong enough to handle the truth?
Now, that is true. I have been in situations where when the truth was welcome and I told the truth, it was all of a sudden I was still being scorned. Like you getting angry with me because I told you the truth. You asked me how does my hair look? And I said, that's what I paid for? Is that what I could have did that myself? And then you get mad with me.
Go doc.
You get mad with me? Like, so if we're going to be honest, because honesty is the best policy, that's what they say. And I certainly agree. So if we're going to be honest, you got to make sure you can handle the truth. Don't say, because I kind of know women a little bit, they can say, oh yeah, be open and honest with me. Tell me what's wrong. And then when I do tell you what's wrong, then all of a sudden now it's a problem. You get mad with me because I say, well, you talk just a little too much. You don't have to tell everything. Now it's a problem. Now, and then what you'll do, you'll give the silent treatment. And then when I ask you what's wrong, nothing's wrong. I talk too much. Come on.
Hey,
Doc, come on,
boy,
Doc. Come on now.
Yeah, man, you hit that one.
Come on now.
I'm gonna say you offering for that one.
Thank you, Ty Priest Hannah, cash out. Yeah. But I mean, really and truly, and trust me, I understand. And in any relationship, is trust important? Yes, I certainly agree. Is honesty important? Yes, I certainly agree. But the reality is, can you handle it? Can you handle somebody being brutally honest with you? To the extent if we are out at the park holding hands and I look at you and I say, "Ooh, your breath is stink." Can you handle that?
Yes, tell me if my breath is stink. Tell me so I can get. You're talking to people's face and my breath stink. Tell me, yes, tell me.
but Tempest, I think what I'm essentially saying is that you can't ask for it if you can't handle it. Because what you essentially teach me is that if you ask me to be truthful and I be truthful, then you scorn me. What you are teaching me is that even when you are truthful to me, no matter how hard it is, I'm still gonna go off on you. And if you lie to me, you still gonna go off on me. So at the end of the day, that's not a win for me at all.
Exactly.
And right, but that's why you just don't do whatever it is that you did. Yes, I want you to be honest, but I never said that there's may not be any consequences behind you being honest. Think about it. When you're in the workplace, if you've done something wrong and there's an internal investigation, okay, and you are honest and you tell them what happened, that mean that you're not going to be reprimanded after the fact because you've been honest. It's just the basis of having integrity. You know, I mean, and I look at it the same way in a relationship. Yes, you may have done something wrong or I've done something wrong, but you know what? I'm going to be honest and I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to feel better about myself because at least I've told you. Now, what you do with that from there is going to be on you, whether you decide to scorn me or to drop me or whatever the case may be. But at least I've told you, because for me, yes, have someone come out and told me the truth about whatever it may have been that they've done? They have. And have I been one of those that have thrown it back in their face? Yes, I have. Because I'm going to make sure that you hear my mouth. And maybe when you get tired of hearing my mouth, you'll know not to do it again. So you won't have to hear my mouth in the future.
That's not. Okay. That's not fair. but okay. So I'll tell you what, because now we're moving into another aspect of the conversation when we're talking about when trust has been broken. So when trust has been broken, let me ask you guys, what steps, and this is going to kind of piggyback off of what, Tempest just said, what steps should one employ to rebuild trust in the relationship? Like, what should that look like? Oh my God.
Like seriously, like I'm having a hard time with this topic because I've gone through these situations, so I can't really say what the steps are going to be because I've dropped everybody that have broken trust. I'm just,
Lord.
And you receive some edible arrangements and some little flowers or some bears, little apology gestures, and it's cute, and I'm going to eat it. Believe it, I'm going to eat it, but that means I'm letting you come back.
Oh, you better give me them doggone edible arrangements back.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That because, like, on a serious note, especially if you're dealing with a person who's been hurt multiple times, a person who's had their trust betrayed multiple times, it's hard because that person is going to already come into a relationship with a guard up. And when they're already guarded, and especially if you know of that person's history, regardless of what it is, and you've betrayed them or you've broken that trust, as a woman, because we are emotional beings, I'm going to feel like I told you some things that have happened in my past, and then here you come and you do the same thing or the same things, or you're doing things that reminded me of this. And you said that you loved me or you cared about me, but you turn around and do the same thing. So how can I trust you? I can't. What's the point? What are we even doing this for? Because at the end of the day, if I can't trust you, then what's the point of the relationship? Why are we even together? So I really don't know what can be done when you're talking about trying to rebuild trust.
Okay.
I don't know.
You God knows, you just you said something, you said a whole mouthful, really and truly, but you said something very, very important, because you said, if I'm coming into the relationship with my guard up. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being with I guess the term would be looking for red flags or what have you when it comes to a relationship. But I don't necessarily, let me see how I can say this. You should not go into the relationship with a wall of resistance, or with a wall of resistance expecting to find, that person to do something wrong. Because oftentimes when people have been hurt in a relationship and they go into the relationship with their guard up, it's almost like they are expecting that person to do something wrong, and they're really not giving that person a chance. So if that is the case, then you shouldn't go into another relationship, period, until you are fully healed of the hurt and pain of the past.
I agree.
And I'll piggyback off on that one. Ties, that there are times that if you have been scorned and hurt, and then that now man who does not deserve any of that, because in all honesty, he can be a honest man, he can be a good man.
Right.
And now that you're treating me like the last man, and not just even take it to another step like that, I could do a similar action, not perform any infidelity or cheating, but a similar action.
Doc,
just because
come on.
I didn't get to the house at 7:03, and your ex, who cheated on you, was notorious, because after 7:03, that meant he was cheating.
Right.
But because I had a flat tire, because I had to help somebody change a tire, and then you will look at me like I am him.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do anything to deserve it.
Boy.
And then what happens is that you worsen the scorn, because now when I say, you know what, I've been waiting, and a waiting man is a good man, because that means he didn't give up on you yet. But when he gets to a point that, I'm not waiting no more, because I've given it all that I can, then you call him a dog, or you're mad now because it has added to the burden of he left me. So now what's further wrong with me? When in all honesty, if you would have came in at being truthful and open and honest to him, you cannot ask for something if you're not giving it.
Oh my God, Jesus. Oh God, help us tonight. Help us tonight. Doc, you flowing heavy. You flowing heavy tonight.
Man,
I feel his anointing all on you. I feel it all on you. You're flowing heavy.
I got some tissue.
But in all seriousness, I would never, number one, advise anyone to get into a relationship if you're not fully healed from the previous one. And then secondly, and the reason why rather is because of the very reason that TJ just stated. If I do something that could potentially be similar to that resembled what that other person did, then I am being chastised for something that really and truly, I really didn't do. I really did. I had an honest emergency. I had an honest hiccup. It wasn't me, trying to talk to another woman. It wasn't me, trying to do something else. And what you essentially do is you superimpose that hurt, that pain on that individual unjustly. And that's not fair. And ultimately what happens is you can potentially turn a good person into a bad one in a matter of weeks, days, whatever the case may be. Go ahead. You look like you want to say something, Tempestt. Go ahead.
On the flip side of that, if you have that person that has been healed and they're guarded, all their guards are completely down. Granted, they've been in the past, but they are healed. They're ready to, walk into the next chapter of their life, and they have this significant other. They have no expectations. They're just going with the flow and let it be what it be. However, that other person breaks that trust. Then you have me here sitting like, okay, now I came into this and I gave it my all. I wasn't guarded. I haven't treated you in a bad way. I haven't made you suffer from my past relationships. I haven't judged you. I haven't done any of this. Yet you turned around and you've done the exact same thing that they've done. I mean, it's hard to bounce back from something like that, especially when you know you've been healed and you've let that guard down and you're giving this person your all. And so, but then you say, you know what? I'm going to forgive them and we're going to continue to work on this. And then they turn around and do it again.
I would be inclined to agree. I don't have a rebuttal for that, because that happens, unfortunately. That really does. I've seen it. It has happened to me. And I've seen it happen to others countless times. And really and truly, I have just chalked it up to the fact that that's just the risk that one takes in loving someone. It's an unfortunate risk, really and truly. It really is. It's an unfortunate risk, but it's a risk nonetheless. When anyone takes the risk of being involved with anybody on an intimate level, you're always putting yourself with the potentiality of being hurt. You know, just as, and it's an equal thing, because just as you're positioning yourself to potentially be loved and nurtured and all of that stuff, you are equally setting yourself up to potentially be hurt, to be abused, to be mishandled, for trust to be broken. And so that is just the risk, unfortunately, that one takes in loving someone.
I would chime in on and say that, just as I have admitted, which this happened years and years ago, when I ultimately had to grow up.
Yeah, me too.
When I committed,
long time ago. Go ahead.
But just as equally so, I've also admitted that I was on the other side of the spectrum as well, and a similar action did occur as well. That, yes, trust was broken, and I then had to become a rubber ball and bounce back, only then to get knocked down again. And for a man, I think that we dissect this thing a little differently than women. We do it the same way, but we interpret it differently. Because as a man, especially when a man cheated on, like, what was it about me?
Right.
Was I not able to provide financially? Was I not able to, let's say, become of the satisfactory of that particular individual in a sexual manner? It's a lot of other questions can populate with that. But one thing that I could tell you that I was able to walk away with is that if I know that, hey, I am a good Black man, I'm no dog, I'm no cheater, I ain't no liar, I'm a good Black man.
Right.
And if you perform those actions and you decide to betray that, at the end of the day, I didn't lose anything.
Right.
You actually freed me. Right. Because I promise you this, that I know that it is high and rare for good people in the world who have nothing but good motives in relationships.
Right.
And what you did, you lost me. And that's a regret that you got to live for the rest of your life.
That's right.
As Pre said. But it's also a pleasure to be able to love someone, to have the capability to love someone. But just as equally so, when you're hurt, it ultimately validates that I did really love you. I was really there for you. But when that, of course, is infringed upon, I at the same time can walk away that I did nothing wrong, and I would be that person that you would regret for the rest of your life, because you wish you could have this back. And that's not being cocky, it's just being confident.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I've always, any woman that I've really been involved with, I've always made the statement that I will love you so hard that after I'm gone, you're going to wish the next person was just like me. And that is the case. That is the case. That's just that's just how good my love is. That's just how good it is. It's easy like Sunday morning.
That's what you say, dog. Right. Do you, man.
But really and truly, TJ is right. When a man, and we may have to really continue this conversation because there's just so many other questions that are coming to mind even right now. But I will say that when trust has been broken with a man, like that really puts a man in a different position because it really questions him. It really causes him to question his masculinity. That's the thing that the man takes pride in. What happened? Was I not a good provider? Whatever the case may have been. And the fact of the matter is, if the man is not married, what will happen is, if the relationship ends, if they choose to end that relationship, he will go into another relationship. And, he will love that person, but in the event of loving that individual, there's also going to be some, like you said, Tempestt, there's going to be some guard up. There's going to be some walls up. There really are. And not only that, he has the potential of even imposing the hurt that was inflicted on him. He has the potential of imposing that same or inflicting that same hurt on that individual. Yeah, men really process things differently. But right. But the question, still stands, what steps should one, employ to rebuild trust? And the steps that I believe that should be employed is, number one, there has to be forgiveness. There has to be a sense of forgiveness. Within any entity, regardless of relationship or whatever the case may be, when trust has been broken, there has to be forgiveness. And not only that, there has to be some accountability. Man, TJ, that seemed to have been our word for the whole year 2021. Accountability. There has to be accountability on both parts. And then not only that, there has to be, a level of communication, an in-depth level of communication, because of the simple fact that if trust is going to be rebuilt, we have to communicate with each other. We have to be open with one another. We have to be willing to put our own feelings aside and really be open and honest with each other. And the reason why I asked that question was because some of the steps that people employ to rebuild trust, I don't think that they're actually trust building practices or techniques. I oftentimes believe that they are actually a means of manipulating the relationship. For instance, I know a particular couple. Matter of fact, I know 2 or 3 of them now that I'm thinking about it. I know a particular couple, where since trust has been broken, one of the individuals in the relationship, they cheated. And every so often, the woman will go through his cell phone. Now, is that okay if that's what they allow? But my thing is, if I got to do all of this just to trust you, then is it really trust after all? I should not have to keep tabs on you just to make sure you're going where you say you're going.
Right.
If I've never shown up at your job before, why all of a sudden I'm showing up at your job just to make sure that you're at work? I don't think that those type of techniques one should employ in their relationship when they're trying to rebuild trust, because that's not rebuilding trust. That's just you trying to be manipulative, in my opinion.
And if it gets to that point, then it's kind of like, what's the point? Why are we even here?
Right. Why would we even continue this?
Right. If I got to do all of that, checking bank accounts and checking phone records and putting a little GPS on your phone,
The
on your
tracker.
why are we doing this? Like, why?
Right.
Why? Just part ways. Great.
Exactly. I agree. There's no need for us to continue the relationship. If we need to, separate for a few months or whatever the case may be, let's do that, and then we'll reconvene at a later time. But I'm not about to spend my time going through your cell phone, reading your text messages, going all on your social media and all of that stuff, stopping by your job, putting a tracker on your car, trying to figure out where you at. I'm not about to do all of that. That's a waste of time. I got too many other things to do.
Right. Because you said give it, then act on that. Forgive me. And let's move on. Let's build together, grow together. But if you're doing all of that, that shows me that you really haven't forgiven me.
Right. I just don't have the time. I got yachts to sail on. I don't have time for that.
But I'm gonna tell you, those kind of actions show two things as well. They show one that that individual wants control.
Mm-hmm.
You want to control me and not necessarily love me, but control me. And that's a problem in itself. And if you're performing those kind of actions, then it may even suggest that the relationship was never really mature enough anyway. Because at the end of the day, if I am a responsible adult, if I am a grown up, a grown man or a grown woman, when you do become or behave that way, my thing is not to manipulate you. My thing is not even to manipulate the relationship. If anything, if I am mature, I'm going to be truthful. I might need some time to process and say, you know what, we need to step away from this.
Right.
Let me find out if this love is valuable enough or is it not? And it comes back to the simple fact of, can I be truthful to myself so that I can now be truthful to you?
Right.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, man. That's powerful. I just have two more questions and then we will end it. But the question, the other question that I want to ask is actually for the person who has been offended. And we actually already touched on this a little bit with Tempestt, because if we're going to forgive, if we're going to forgive, then we have to be very careful that we're not constantly rehearsing the same mistake, that we're not constantly rehearsing the same problem. So the question that I wanted to pose is, what can the offended do to make trust, rebuilding trust easier? Because the fact of the matter is, like I said, if you're going to forgive me, then forgive me.
Right.
If we have another argument about a different topic, then let's argue about that topic. Don't try to include the previous mistakes or the previous, incident or what have you, because at that point it lets me know that you haven't fully gotten over it.
Right. Well, that's going to be the one thing. If you're going to move on from it, discuss it that one time and let it go. Don't bring it back up. And I think that needs to be something discussed between both parties. Okay, you say, yes, I've done this. The other individual says, okay, yes, we're going to talk about it. We're going to try to work it out. We're going to work on it. I forgive you. That's the end of that conversation. Don't go back to that issue anymore unless reason has given because that issue has arisen again. But other than that, leave that issue where it is. Build, get closer. Do some things to try to establish a closer bond. Whether it be to go to counseling or, having date nights, whatever you can do to try to come closer, start, strengthen the foundation, but leave that issue where it is. Don't bring the issue back up. Move on. And I think that that's one of the issues that we have. And I can say that I have been guilty of that. You've said that you've forgiven that person, but every chance you get, you throw.
Yeah, Lord.
And I've done that. You throw every time. I don't care if let's just say it's as simple as you didn't cut the grass. I'm going to find a way to throw in what you've done in the mix of you not cutting that grass.
Oh,
just
my God.
Because I'm still holding on to it. You're not responsible. You didn't cut the grass. You're not responsible. So I'm gonna find a way to tie whatever you did into being irresponsible. But when you say that you've forgiven that person, just leave it alone. And that's one thing I had to learn and try to, that's something that I had to work on, because I would literally bring it up every chance. Every opportunity that I had, I would bring it up. And the person was like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of hearing it. If you said you've forgiven me about it, then forgive, let it go. But you're not about to sit here and throw this in my face every chance you get just because you want to be mean.
Right.
Oh,
listen,
Jesus, yes,
listen,
Lord.
My God. We could be talking about somebody else. And it could be, baby, Courtney's husband hadn't been paying their mortgage for the past 3 months. You know what? But you know what? It's just like you didn't cut the grass the other day. I asked you to cut the grass and you didn't cut the grass. You didn't cut. He can't pay the mortgage and you can't cut the grass. Why are we talking about me? We're talking about Courtney's husband.
Right. Or when you're watching a movie together and you see whatever and it come up, you know what? That reminds me of somebody. Don't that remind you of somebody?
Listen. Oh my God, I hate that. Oh my God, I hate that. Just let it go. Let it go. Oh my.
No. I think the other one is that when you're watching a movie and the scene comes up that the man is cheating, as a man, you get real quiet.
Boy, listen, don't you?
You don't answer any questions.
Listen,
you could have held your pee for 24 hours.
Right.
You will not move.
Right.
You will stay put. As a tree planted by the.
Listen, your eyes are fixed on that screen because you already know she is looking directly at you.
Yeah, you go cutting that eye and saying,
Yeah. Listen, your night is ruined that night. See, that's the reason why you need to watch the movie by yourself before you try to so you can make sure that there isn't anything that's going to remind her of the mistakes that you've made.
Oh my, it's there something. So you do though. Seriously, you have to let that go. Once you say that you've forgiven that person, let it go.
Right.
Let it go. Move on and continue to try to do things to rebuild that trust. And again, like I said, if that means counseling, doing date nights, whatever it is, to try to rekindle that fire or to try to build, that's what you need to do.
Right.
And Tempestt, I would say also to be careful of who you talk to about your personal, but more so your relationship as well, because everybody isn't mature enough to advise you correctly.
Right.
And you have some people who would advise you to leave. At the end of the day, you know that man, you know that woman, you've been with them, you know them better than the person that you're getting this counsel from. So be careful in who's advising you.
Right.
Use wise counsel. And then ultimately, you have to have a belief that we can make this.
Right.
Not every step I question if is this the step that's going to break, because couples that make it to 10 and 20 and 30 years will tell you that they had to have these breakthrough moments that they were able to overcome to get to the 10-year and the 20-year. Every year and every day wasn't perfect. And as you said with your parents, they've been together for 30 some odd years and mine as well. And if they didn't go through those breaking points, then how do you know the strength of your relationship?
Right. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Right.
So let me ask you guys, how long do you think it should take to rebuild trust?
1 year. 1 year.
Hmm.
And I answer that quickly because just as Tempest said, you can be jailed. Okay. You have messed up. If I messed up and I am trying to exercise practices that will be trust building, and I'm doing everything I can. We sometimes get so desperate, as you pretty much kind of touched on earlier, Priest. I'm giving you my account number, and my car got a tracker, and you got the pin to my cell phone, and heck, you got facial recognition on my iPhone as well. Like I could do all of that, and if you still trying to put me through the pain, then that means that you have never forgiven me, and you have made a choice not to forgive me, which meant that you clearly won't forgive me. So I need to bounce. So after a year, and to maybe some it might be a little sooner, but to me, if I've done all that for a year and I've tried to fix it and I still can't fix it, clearly I'm not the guy for the job.
Okay. Tempest? Oh, Lord, asking you, you might not live. Because you don't let stuff go. Trust me, never be rebuilt. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
I would say I would probably go with less than a year. But I would say maybe somewhere around maybe around 8 months.
Okay.
You know, I think a year. I think a year is a long time to be dealing with somebody that's nagging about the same thing. But that's, you know what I'm saying? Because it'll get to the point to where you begin to push the person away. So I think that, again, if you're on the same page and you have the same mindset in rebuilding that trust, I don't think that that it's going to necessarily take that whole year, you know. But again, it means two people being on the same page and in the same mindset and willing to put in the work. And not only that, but having God involved at the same time, things can really move a lot quicker than what you think and you expect.
Right.
But with your joking, a few months and
you go.
Because it goes back to some of our previous conversations, even going back to the independence thing. Nobody has time for that.
Oh yeah.
It goes back to that conversation.
I actually think it's subjective. It depends on the situation. Sometimes if the situation is a very light situation, then it may not take a whole year to rebuild trust. If it's a lie, something like that. Normally when it's a lie, you could probably get over that probably within a day or two or whatever the case may be. But if it is cheating, then that may take a little while longer, or what have you. So I really think it all depends what the situation really is to determine how long trust can be rebuilt. Well, listen, guys, we're not going to go any further. I really thank you all for being on with me tonight. This has been a very, very, very interesting conversation. It has been a very interesting conversation. And I know that there's something that I've said tonight that has been a blessing to each and every one of you. And so I want to encourage you to cash out me $500.
Lord have mercy.
To Time Priest Hannah, and watch what God does for you in 3 days. Watch. TJ, he's already doing it for you now. He's doing it for you now. You need to lift your hands and tell God thank you.
I thank God that blessings are free. When I think of the goodness of Jesus.
Oh my.
Listen, guys, you guys have a great evening. Thank you so much. I appreciate you from the very bottom of my heart. We had a wonderful conversation tonight. Well, that's our time. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion today and our time together. We really appreciate you for allowing us to hang out with you for a few minutes. Now, if you like what you hear or have a particular topic that you would like to discuss, please drop us an email at ltaipodcast29501@gmail.com. Once again, that email address is ltaipodcast29501@gmail.com, or you can send us a text message at area code 843-799-7619. We want to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk About It. I am Ty Hanna. I'm out. Peace.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
You've been listening to Let's Talk About It.
Let's talk about